Imagine paying 25, 50, 100, or even 150% on products that you buy every single day. That might be the new reality for us Americans, thanks to Trump's tariff war. The question is though, was this an incredible tactic pulled right out of Trump's book, The Art of the Deal, or was it a mistake that made America look weak and powerless in front of the whole world? In this video, we're gonna talk about just that. I'm Benji, and on this channel, we learn English through interesting topics. Let's get into the video. So why does Trump want a tariff war? Trump has been saying for decades that our allies have been ripping us off or taking advantage of us. I mean, here's a clip of him in 1988 saying exactly what he's been saying over the past few months.
That I would have a hell of a chance of winning, because I think people, I don't know how your audience feels, but I think people are tired of seeing the United States ripped off. And I can't promise you everything, but I can tell you one thing: this country would make one hell of a lot of money from those people that for 25 years have taken advantage. It wouldn't be the way it's been, believe me.
So what does it mean to be ripped off? So to rip somebody off means to take advantage of them, usually financially. It usually means that somebody charges another person a crazy price for a product or service. It is a way to cheat them financially. One example that Trump gives of us getting ripped off by our allies is our contribution to NATO and the little that NATO has done for us in return. But that's not it. So let's look at the main reasons why Trump has started this tariff war. Reason number one, America first. Trump's America first policy is all about investing in our country and focusing on our country before we try to help others. I personally do not agree with Trump on everything. However, for Americans, it is very evident, it is clear that the money that we are sending overseas to other countries would be better spent here in our home country. For example, in many places, our infrastructure is extremely old. It is falling apart. And we even have cities full of homeless and drug addicts that are literally peeing, defecating, and dying in the streets. Meanwhile, we're sending hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine, to Israel, etc. And it's a little bit weird because when my parents were my age, the American dream was to make and save enough money to buy a nice house in the United States. However, for our generation, it seems that the new American dream is to make money in the US and take that money to go buy property in a country that's actually improving, like the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Germany, or Japan. But Trump wants to change that. Trump wants Americans to come back to their home country and to live the same American dream that he had when he was our age. While I don't think he'll be able to do that, I really hope that he can. Reason number two for the trade war is trade deficits. Trump has been saying that trade deficits are a huge injustice for our country. And while most people don't really agree with him on this, let me try to explain his perspective. His problem with trade deficits are job losses. Of course, trade deficits mean that we are importing more than we are exporting. This means that while the US used to be a manufacturing powerhouse, we have now decided to just consume. So the manufacturing jobs have moved overseas to places like China, Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, etc. Number two is a weak manufacturing system. which, apart from bringing jobs to our country and making more money for the people and government, it also is a very strategic thing to have in your country. I mean, think about World War II, when many of our manufacturing facilities or factories were converted so that they could produce ammunition, soldiers' clothing, weaponry, and military vehicles like tanks and Humvees. And another problem, according to Trump, is that we lose economic strength. When we produce very little and buy a lot, we are sending all of our money over to these countries that are the producers, giving them the power to grow their country, grow their military, etc. This provides economic strength to other countries at the cost of the economy of the United States. So the reason number 3 that Trump started this trade war is to boost domestic manufacturing. The US used to be globally recognized for its ability to manufacture and export quality goods. However, decades ago, our crown was taken by China, who also tariff us about 15 to 25%. According to Trump, China has been playing the tariff game for a lot longer, and they have benefited greatly from it. So his end goal would be to bring a lot of manufacturing jobs back to the United States, which would help the government and the people make some more money. Also, he says that we'll be able to negotiate tariff rates with countries and get them lower than they were before the trade war, allowing for everybody to have cheaper products in their countries. And reason number 4 for the trade war is reciprocity. Trump is a strong president, for better or for worse, and he claims that the US has been taken advantage of for a long time, something he wants to put to an end. For example, one thing he mentions that the Americans, we don't know, is that Canada has actually been tariffing us with fairly crazy rates for quite a long time. For example, when it comes to dairy products such as milk, Canada has been tariffing us between 190 and 350% for years now. This makes it so we buy their dairy products, but we can't sell ours to them. So Trump's idea of giving reciprocal tariffs is, if you think that 190 to 390% tariffs are fair, then we'll do the same. This small example shows Trump's perspective on reciprocal tariffs, that we will do unto you as you have done to us. So the question is, what's going to happen to the US? Well, prices are expected to raise at least 5% on average in the first year. Inflation is also getting worse, and not to mention the fact that the dollar has dropped about 10% in value, but luckily has recently recovered about 2.5%. Basically, by making imported goods more expensive, Trump thinks that he'll be able to make it easier for American companies to compete with prices in the American market. And of course, this would definitely help the wealthy people who own factories and American businesses in the United States. As to what will happen with the world, now, I'd be arrogant to tell you that I could even give a decent answer to that question. I really have no idea, and nobody does. But from my humble perspective, I believe there's 2 paths we could go down. The first is the path of pain. The many countries that are affected by the tariffs could decide, we don't need the US. We will make alliances with other powerful countries like China, Russia, Iran, etc. And if they would do that, then maybe they could lose all of their reliance on the US economy, and maybe even on the US dollar, which would be catastrophic for us. Or number 2 would be the path of ease and comfort. in which the many countries that are affected would decide, you know what, we don't want a tariff war, and they'll lower their tariffs lower than before, and Trump will also lower the tariffs on their products, making a world with better trade relations and, of course, cheaper products for everybody. It's scary because we're at a crossroads here. The global relations and the global economy could either get much better or much worse very quickly. But at the end of the day, this is all politics. And we both know that it doesn't matter what some arrogant politician in any country does in this situation. Me and you are brothers, and we are going to be fine. So whatever happens, let's just end this video remembering that we are one big family, and everything is going to get better soon. And I'm glad you stopped by, friend. It was nice to see you. Have an incredible week. Goodbye.